Here are 15 of the best Ask Reddit stories for today. I hope you enjoy and remember to subscribe. It really helps us out. We post new videos every day.
Retail workers of Reddit, what's the best thing you've ever had a customer come up to you and say? An older man in his 60s bought me flowers on Valentine's Day and gave them to me in the store. He said he had always ordered them for his wife, and this was his first year without her, and it was too hard not to order them again this year. I accepted graciously and gave him a hug. I had a little girl wanting to give me a hug one time, but her parents wouldn't let her. I was just being sent on my break and they were my last transaction before it. As I was walking away, the little girl was crying because she couldn't hug me, so she yelled, "I love you." Cutest little thing ever. What about you now, would surprise your younger self? I have a beard, work in construction, and don't have a driver's license. Still not the dinosaur trainer I dreamed to become, sadly. I now have good social skills. Like seriously, social butterfly. I used to have bad social anxiety. That I have 10 children, 6 grandchildren, on marriage number 2, and own a company that has finally set us financially free. I planned on living like a hermit in a faraway land, climbing big walls or surfing. That I'm now living in a foreign country. This coming from someone who had panic attacks from just thinking about leaving the house. What is something that you are 99.99% sure happens to others, but you have not confirmed with anyone else from fear of being the only one? There are random spots on my body where I can pinch and feel a sensation, usually pain, but on a different spot of my body from where I'm pinching. For example, I pinched the skin on my hip bone and felt it on my collarbone. That if I get rid of a stuffed animal, I'm hurting their feelings, as if they have emotions. I still have half of my stuffed animals and refuse to get rid of them because of this. How my ear randomly has a ringing sound, and I can't tell if it's always been there and I'm just now realizing it, or if it's from me slowly going deaf and that's the last time I will ever hear that tone. What is something about yourself that genuinely scares you? The reason I feel most people don't do bad things is because they see it as morally wrong. The reason I don't do bad things is because I don't want to get in trouble, not because I feel it is morally wrong. My selfishness. I'm completely self-absorbed even when I'm doing something decent for another human being. It's for self-gratification, not for the person in question. Like, oh look how good I am, I'm such a nice person. I tend to screw up relationships for no reason. I don't do it intentionally, but I feel like a part of me wants a little disorder in my life. What was that one thing you tried out due to fear of missing out? I joined my friends in auditioning for the musical in senior year of high school because I just happened to be friends with a lot of theater kids. Ended up with a supporting role including a duet and a decent amount of lines. I still consider it one of the best decisions I ever made. It was a crazy amount of fun. It hasn't happened yet, but I got the round-trip tickets to Tokyo next year for $300, and I impulse bought them for fear of never actually getting the chance again. I don't think I would ever actually save up enough money to go if there wasn't a screaming deal. What is your life pro tip that has actually changed your life? Wrap a wet napkin around a room temp beer or soda can and put in the freezer for 15 minutes to make it drinkably cold, 25 to 30 for it to be ice cold. If you're having trouble making a decision, flip a coin. If you're disappointed with the result, then you have your answer. I know it sounds stupid, but try it one day. As someone who's about as indecisive as they come, this has been a life changer. It's something my dad told me. He said, no man, on his deathbed, ever said that he'd wished he'd spent more time at work. I spend as much family time as I can. Pops was absolutely right. From my dad, the time is going to pass anyways, so you may as well put in the work to get where you want to be. What was a loophole that you found and exploited the hell out of? There was a site where you could upload your own games and make revenue for every time someone visited the page. Turns out just refreshing the page counted as a visit, so I found an auto refresher and left it on 24/7. I made almost 2,000 grand before they figured out what was happening, and now it only works from different IP addresses. Back in the 80s there was a raffle for a card that had write your own entries. Printed off thousands of pages of entries on my printer and won the car. Unfortunately I was too young to drive and my sister totaled it before I got my license. There was a Papa John's coupon for 50% off if the official Papa John's Twitter retweeted you. I found the code looking through their website. I got half off pizza for a year and a half. What's the biggest mistake you've watched someone make in their personal life? My uncle got himself a mistress. Lent her $10K he never got back and lost his job defending her at work. Wife served him divorce papers short afterwards. He gave up his house to his wife, so he ended up jobless and homeless, sleeping on her couch at the ripe age of 60. Let go of a girl close to their wedding because of his idea of what a wife should be like. He now lives in deep regret as she married his friend and they're really happy, whilst he has never found anyone else. Good friend messed around with a young Brazilian woman whose ulterior motive was to get married to stay in US. She got pregnant, but he wouldn't marry her even after the baby was born, so she moved back to Brazil. He is now in his 50s raising a toddler that speaks Portuguese. Women of Reddit, what are things men do that make them ghostable? One guy texted me after our first date that he wanted to put me in a pokeball so he could keep me forever and only take me out when he wanted me. Spamming you with messages anything past 5 in a row is creepy. I once had a guy spam me with 300 voice notes when I went on holiday and couldn't be on my phone 24/7. We were joking about poop, I don't remember what, and somehow he brought up the idea of sending me a picture of his dookie when he woke up in the morning. I told him that would be disgusting and not to do that or I wouldn't talk to him again. Then I get an actual photo of his morning crap the next morning. Dude, I warned you, gross. What is the weirdest thing you've experienced outside that has no definite explanation? I woke up out of nowhere and had a bad feeling. I called home and woke my parents up, wanting to speak to my mother. All of a sudden my father couldn't wake her and had to call me back. She had stopped breathing seconds before, and my father was able to start CPR and call 911. To this day I can't explain why I had that feeling, but she's safe and well. My childhood cat was getting old and went missing. My 8-year-old self had a hunch to go look for her in a creek behind our house and we found her there. This was not her hiding spot, nor was it a place that I had ever spent any time. She passed away a few days later. You can make one thing 5% bigger, what do you choose? My dog's lifespan. X button on mobile ads. Make the length of a day 5% longer, if that's not cheating. Get an extra 72 minutes. The rate of cancer research development, because screw cancer. My love for myself. It's lacking and I could use the boost. The average IQ of people. I'd say my bank account, but I literally got like 60 cents in there, so that'll just be silly. Maybe instead my height. The population count of endangered species. Odds at the blackjack table. It turns into a me advantage. Men of Reddit, what is something you wish other men would stop doing? Insulting their friends to look cool in front of a girl. That thing where a girl turns you down so you suddenly call her ugly. It's really not hard to not be a rude piece of crap, and it makes you sound pathetic. Have some respect and imagine your grandmother could hear you. Just stop donating thousands to some random female Twitch streamer. But if I donate $100, she might say my name. Being annoying and sucking up to women, or acting like you are sad to get them to feel sorry for you, it makes my skin crawl. If every man suddenly disappeared, what would happen to the world? 98% of crew on cargo ships are men, so you could basically wave goodbye to the global supply chain. Subaru stock skyrockets. Toilet seats would stay down. Approximately half of the vehicles on the road would suddenly crash. Same thing as what would happen if we disappeared every woman in the world, civilization would collapse within a few months. Women would start exercising at night with earbuds in. Millions of sad moms. Given that the vast majority of blue-collar work is done by men, 93.8% in construction for example, infrastructure would be devastated. Electrical work, plumbing, mechanics, you name it. Almost everything that requires maintenance would degrade rapidly. How do you accept being ugly? My grandma used to say everybody looks good in blue. If you don't look good in blue, then I guess you're just ugly. So I guess buy a jean jacket and go from there. With a simple technique called denial, you too can become as handsome as me. Plenty of ugly people out there, man. I've known plenty of them to be happy, plenty of friends, happily married, and otherwise successful. Plenty of people out there who don't just hate people because of their face. I realized that no one's value is in their appearance. That is not what we are put on earth for. You suddenly gain godlike powers over the universe, what is the first thing you do? Realize that I now have the power to accidentally delete existence and then immediately and accidentally do so as my brain considers how I'd do it. Stop time, chill for 1,000 years. Probably change the laws of this universe to make it an abundant utopia before piecing out and making my own universe with elves, dwarves and magic. Well, a while back I had a lucid dream and I had godlike powers. The first thing I did was clap my hands together over my head and summon bees while screaming, bees. They scared me when they started flying around, so I woke up. So I guess that. What are the best conversation starters you know? Did you know you smell different when you're awake? Would it be weird to feed a cow its own milk? Would you rather change genders every time you sneeze, or not be able to tell the difference between muffins and babies? What is your favorite shape of pasta noodle? Want to start a conversation? You ever peel your grapes when you eat them? If you could speak to your past self, what year would you choose and why, and what would you tell them? Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe? Remember Laurel or Yanny? Which one did you hear? What is your favorite dinosaur?